Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the briefing for Operation Grognard and Operation Falafel Ranger. Today we have three objectives for our mission. Number one, providing close air support for von Hoff's 3rd, 5th, and 19th Infantry Regiments. They're being attacked by Bulgarian armor, mechanized infantry, supported by SPAA and artillery. It's our mission for those CAS aircraft to destroy them and take the pressure off of von Hoff's men. Objective number two, suppression of enemy air defenses. We're focused on destroying the S-300 battery, its radar, and its supporting Tunguska, as well as any SPAA or self-propelled SAMs the Bulgarians may have covering them. Also, if we're threatened by any Angolan Air Force aircraft, both ground attack or air-to-air aircraft, we're going to shoot those down. Now, here are the ROE and flight restrictions for today. Number one, aircraft are not permitted to cross the border, with two exceptions. Close air support aircraft. You may cross the border to engage Bulgarian ground forces, but you are not allowed to make deep interdictions into their lines. Number two, the SEAD element for Falafel Ranger. Gentlemen, you are permitted to go into the airspace to target the Tunguska there and the S-300, but make no other penetrations. All military aircraft that we see north of the border are hostile. You are permitted to engage it on site. If you are fired upon by ground or air assets, fire back. If you see anything engaging friendlies, assume it is hostile and destroy it. Here are the MCON restrictions of today. I Spy and the crew in the S-100 Argus. Keep your radar on. You are our eyes in the sky today. Fighters, keep your radars off unless the S-100 IDs a target from you or you otherwise have no other way to search and engage targets. All aircraft, keep your jammers off unless enemy radars are detected. Once you start seeing radars, turn those jammers on and give them a bad day. Now, the most important part of this mission is the SEAD element. This is under Operation Falafel Ranger, which will be striking the S-300 and its supporting Tunguska batteries. We have several elements involved in this. Number one, our recon element, the Spurver UAV. Its objective is to provide supplemental recon to the Reaper UAV we already have in the area. If the Reaper cannot locate the S-300, we're sending in the Spurver, it's going to locate the S-300, and then we can move in our strike package. Our strike package is going to be composed of two elements for this. Number one, the Jam Sandwich, the EA-6 Prowler. Gentlemen, you're going to be carrying the AGM-88 HARM as well as offensive electronic countermeasures pod. Your mission is to jam the S-300's radars to allow our strikers to get close. Once you're within harm range, fire your harms. Gooseberry, this is the Tornado IDS element. You're going to be carrying harms as well. Your mission is to get in close, following behind the Prowler. Once you're within range, fire your missiles at the S-300 battery's radars. Then, all of you, the Prowler and the Tornadoes, get out of Dodge, gentlemen. You do not want to get engaged by anything else. You're also going to be supported in this by two Gripens, call sign Binge Eater. Gentlemen, you and the Gripens, you're going to be carrying a full loadout of small diameter bombs. Your job is to move in at high altitude, high speed, at 60 nautical miles away. Pickle your weapons and get out of Dodge. The objective for Falafel Ranger, gentlemen, is to saturate their air defenses to prevent the S-300 and the Tunguska from shooting down the massive amount of ordnance we're coming in. The first priority for this strike, gentlemen, is the S-300. However, if you have leftover ordnance or you think you can take it all out with your first strike, the Tunguska escorting the S-300, that can be a secondary target. Now we move in to the close air support of Operation Grognard. This, as I said earlier, gentlemen, is focusing on taking out the Bulgarians' armor, mechanized infantry, artillery, and infantry support. We're moving in several elements. Our largest strike group, Jackpot Flight, 8 F-4 Phantoms, each of them carrying two GBU-24 2,000-pound paveway laser-guided bombs. They're also going to be carrying two AIM-120 AMRAAMs. Their objective is simple: flying at high altitude once the S-300 battery has been destroyed. Their first target will be any SPAA or other anti-aircraft elements the Bulgarians have. Once those are destroyed, they move on and focus on armor, mechanized infantry, and infantry, in that order respectively. Their job is also to provide high cap. If the Gripens have to refuel, or if our cap aircraft have gone Winchester or otherwise not able to provide effective air cover, the Phantoms will loiter overhead, providing a combat air patrol so the Frogfoots, the Hawks, and other strike aircraft can make their strikes with air cover. Once those strikes have been completed, or once the Gripens are back up, it's safe for the Phantoms to RTB, quick rearm, and make another attack if possible. Now, At lower level, we're flying in towed flight. Towed flight is 2 Su-25 Frogfoots. These are carrying the AT-16 Scallions. You might also know them as the Vickers. These are anti-tank missiles. Their focus is to go after the tanks. If they have taken out the tanks, mechanized infantry and infantry. However, if they see AA, that becomes their overriding priority over everything else. We also have one Hawk left. That's going to be carrying Maverick missiles. Its objective, AA, tanks, mechanized infantry, armor. Once its strike is complete, egress out of the area, RTB, quick rearm, get back in the fight. Finally, we have Dragon Slayer flight. This is our SK-60s. They're carrying rockets. Only once the air has been sanitized, only once all air defense elements, that's the S-300, Tunguska, SAMs, everything, has been cleared out of the area, then these aircraft are cleared hot to go in and start engaging ground targets. They are to focus on AA. If the AA has been taken out, I would prefer them to focus on fixed ground targets, things like supply dumps, barracks, things like that. However, if those targets cannot be engaged, they'll focus on tanks, mechanized infantry, and infantry. Finally, moving on to our UAV element, MEAT. The MQ-9 Reaper with the Gorgon Stair Pod will orbit south of the battle area, providing us with visual recon of the airfields in the area at like Akito, the S-300 battery, the Tunguska battery supporting it, as well as the battlefield of the Bulgarians. Its objective is to give us maximum situational awareness. It'll fly at max altitude and will stay far enough back where it's not going to be engaged by SAMs or by enemy aircraft. Also, if it does have the opportunity and it's able to move in close, then it's permitted to buddy lays for the F-4Es. Our air superiority element is divided into two groups. WestCap, 4 Gripens carrying the maximum meteors. Their job is to orbit at Point WestCap, only engaging air defense targets in the west and the center. The EastCap flight, their job is to engage targets in the center and the east, also carrying the maximum meteor loadout. They're going to be supported, like I said earlier, by the F-4s. So, if for any reason WestCap or EastCap has to be pulled off station because they're Winchester or Bingo, we're going to make sure that the F-4s are loitering in the area, providing air cover, so that at all times we have aircraft on top cover protecting the strikers. We also have our support elements on this mission. For AEW and C, we have Watchtower, our S-100 Argus, orbiting south of the border, making sure we have eyes on their airfields, as well as their airspace. We're also sallying both aircraft here. Big Pig, the KC-135 Stratotanker. Its job is to hold at the western fuel point, refueling the returning strike aircraft, as well as the WestCap strike aircraft. We also have Little Pig, the VC-10. Its objective is to move to the eastern fuel point, fueling the aircraft there that may need gas. I would like to note that all aircraft should only be using the tanker once they hit the 20% fuel point. We do not want aircraft repeatedly going back when they get thirsty. All right, gentlemen, the strike commences in a few minutes. Get to your aircraft, get going. Let's go.